For this lecture video, we will talk about a series test that works on a specific type of series called an alternating series. As the name suggests, an alternating series is a series where the signs of its terms alternates between positive and negative. Formally, we define an alternating series as follows. It is a series of the form summation (-1 raised to n) times b sub n, or summation (-1 raised to n minus 1) times b sub n, where b sub n is positive for all n. Again, it is a series whose terms are alternately positive and negative. Here are some examples of alternating series. For the first example, we have the summation n equals 1 to infinity of (-1 raised to n minus 1) all over n. This is equal to 1 minus 1/2 plus 1/3 minus 1/4 and so on. Makikita natin na nagpapalit ang signs dito from each term to the next term. Moreover, para sa example na ito, b sub n is equal to 1 over n, which is positive for all n greater than or equal to 1. Kaya ito ay isang alternating series. Another example of an alternating series is the summation n from 1 to infinity of (-1 raised to n times n over 2 to the n. This is equal to (-1/2 plus 2 over 4 minus 3 over 8 plus 4 over 16 and so on. Also, b sub n here is equal to n over 2 to the n, which is again positive for all n greater than or equal to 1. The following series test can only be used to check whether an alternating series is convergent. Kaya tinatawag itong alternating series test. We state this in the following theorem. Consider a series summation (-1 raised to n times b sub n, or summation (-1 raised to n minus 1 times b sub n, where b sub n is greater than 0 for all n. Two conditions must be satisfied to use this test. The first condition is the sequence b sub n must be ultimately decreasing. Ang ibig sabihin nito ay after some value ni n, paliit na ng paliit ang value ni b sub n. The second condition is the limit of b sub n as n goes to infinity is equal to 0. If the two conditions are satisfied by an alternating series, then this series is convergent. As a reminder, if any of the two conditions is not satisfied, then the alternating series test is inconclusive. Other tests must be used to determine convergence or divergence. Moreover, pag tiningnan natin ang conclusion ng theorem, the alternating series test only tell us when a series converges, and it does not say anything about a series being divergent. Let's look at some examples that involves alternating series. For item number 1, we will determine whether the alternating series summation (-1 raised to n minus 1 all over n converges or diverges. Isulat muna natin ang b sub n equal to 1 over n. Again, this is positive for all n. Tapos, i-check ang dalawang conditions ng theorem. Ang unang condition ay the sequence b sub n is ultimately decreasing. Or pag napakita natin na decreasing si b sub n, satisfied din ang unang condition. In this case, ang b sub n plus 1 equal to 1 over n plus 1 ay mas maliit sa 1 over n which is equal to b sub n dahil mas malaki ang denominator ni b sub n plus 1. Ang pangalawang condition, kukunin natin ang limit ng b sub n as n goes to infinity. For this example, ang limit ng 1 over n ay equal lang sa 0. Thus, by alternating series test, the series converges. Sa item number 2 naman, tingnan natin ang summation ng negative 1 to the n times n over 2 to the n. Again, alamin muna natin ang b sub n. Dito, ito ay n over 2 to the n, which is greater than 0 for all n. Ang isang technique para malaman na decreasing si b sub n ay ipakita na b sub n plus 1 minus b sub n ay less than or equal to 0. In this example, for all n, we have b sub n plus 1 minus b sub n equal to the following, which is equal to 1 minus n over 2 to the n plus 1 by using LCD. Since n is greater than or equal to 1, we have 1 minus n less than or equal to 0. Kaya b sub n plus 1 minus b sub n ay less than or equal to 0. Thus, the sequence b sub n is decreasing. Moreover, kunin natin ang limit ni b sub n as n goes to infinity. Dahil infinity over infinity ang form nito, isulat natin muna as the limit of a real number x going to infinity of x over 2 to the x. Para magamitan natin ito ng L'Hopital's rule. Using L'Hopital's, we get the limit of 1 over 2 to the x times ln 2. And as x goes to infinity, papunta lang ito sa 0. Kaya by alternating series test, the summation n equals 1 to infinity of negative 1 raised to n times n over 2 to the n converges. Sa mga examples natin so far, nagkataon na decreasing si b sub n, kaya ultimately decreasing din ito. Kung sakaling hindi decreasing si b sub n for all n, pwede pa rin natin ipakita na ultimately decreasing ito after some value of n. So again, for this case, by alternating series test, convergent itong series. For our last example, tingnan natin ang series na summation negative 1 to the n e to the 1 over n as n equals 1 to infinity. This is an alternating series kasi ang b sub n na equal sa e to the 1 over n ay palaging positive. Pero walang conclusion ang alternating series test dahil pag tiningnan natin ang second condition na limit ng e to the 1 over n, papunta ito sa 1 which is not equal to 0. In this case, pwede tayo gumamit ng ibang test at dahil ang negative 1 raised to n times e to the 1 over n goes to two possible values as n goes to infinity, ito ay 1 o negative 1, then the limit does not exist. Kaya by divergence test, ito yung test na kapag ang limit ng terms ay not equal to 0, ang conclusion ay the series diverges. Here are some examples on alternating series. Subukan niyong sagutan nito dahil sa susunod na lecture, may iba na naman tayong matututunan na mga series tests. If you have any questions regarding the exercises in the lecture slides, do not hesitate to contact your Math 22 teacher. That is all. Have a good day.